Evening and welcome to the official ARK community. This is Fortunate coming at you at always warm, always sunny ARK. We are very happy to be presenting another special AMA podcast to you this evening. Um, I'll pass the floor over to our founder, very diligent, always kind, always on time, Mr. Atlas. The floor is yours, sir.
Thanks so much, Fortunate. Hello, folks. Thank you for coming for tonight's podcast. This is podcast number 9 here at ARK, and we welcome you with open arms. We are preparing diligently. We're doing a lot of work here in the back end for our Friday public pre-sale number 1. That's going to be for a week. Then we have our second round the week after that, Friday, and our third round, the consecutive Friday for our final public round 3. We are getting a lot of questions as to the price that the public pre-sale is going to be launched at. We're going to have that information for you tomorrow in the early afternoon time, obviously before our podcast number 10. And we have something very, very exciting for you guys. And it is a presentation here live and direct for all of the ARK investors, the whole community, which will be recorded. And we have a special guest of honor, our advisor, and someone that, I think a lot of you folks might already know, Dr. Kelly Snook. She has created a fantastic, robust calculator that's going to really help every investor here find the best strategy for their wallets, according to how much they're going to invest, what their financial goals are, and how to best manage your investment here for that long-term basis. We had a meeting with her today, Brett and I, going through the numbers, and oh boy, it looks absolutely. It's just amazing. The returns that are for the taking, for the earning, for those patient folks that really buy into what Brett designed, which is flipping the whole ROI space on its head. I think looking at it from a perspective where folks are generally encouraged to not take any, claims, to hyper compound, to wait till the end. And that's something that he's identified it as not the best strategy. Guys, passive income means pay yourselves. Get your return on investment. Ladies and gentlemen, after you've got your return on investment back in your pocket, you're smooth sailing. I mean, the rest is, as they say in the casino world, house money. And it is a fantastic amount of house money that's there for us as we grow, as we bring more investors here, as we anchor ourselves in, get ourselves organized and situated, into the public rounds, right, that are coming ahead of us. So we're very honored to have her help. That she's going to come here and speak to all of you. She's going to answer some questions. She is traveling right now at a conference, so her time availability is not going to be very, very long. So it'll be a short session, but we're going to record it, and you'll be able to really see with your own eyes, and that just takes the whole investment to another level when you can analytically see the numbers. Hey, I put 500, I put 1,000. This is how long it takes. This is my return. What if I have an NFT? What if I don't? What are my compounding limits? How does that help me? And I think you'll be quite surprised. I think you'll be very impressed with understanding that it is okay to pay yourselves. It is okay to strategize yourself, because you also by claiming, you're extending really the life of your investment. You're earning a lot more, and we're going to deep dive into that with her. Also, for the folks that are getting NFTs, we really want to drill in and let you guys really buy into not only our philosophy, but what the numbers, which are law, say. And that is, go slow, go very slow. You will earn so much more in the long term. And this is not a sprint, guys. This is a, long marathon, but we're smooth sailing. So we are very, very excited, and having her come and present it, I think is just going to, bring a whole nother level of confidence to this investment community. So that's a fantastic opportunity for all of us. If you're not able to be here tomorrow, It's going to be the same time, 6 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, 11 p.m. UTC. It will be recorded. It'll be pinned. And also, another thing, we had some, really interesting and informative and educational YouTube videos that came out. Roy from the Ascension team dropped one. It's pinned here. Check it out, guys. We had a media blitz yesterday of Italian YouTubers. We have a fantastic community here. They are big in some of the great ROI dApps out there. They are just in love with ARK and what we have here, especially the mobile app that's going to be coming. That's going to help us to really, cross on over from the DeFi world to those investors that are just regular average Joes, people, like you and us that before we came here, right? And putting that tool into our, each of your hands to be able to go and get your friends and coworkers and people that you interact with on a daily basis, get them over here. That's going to be quite fascinating, and I think it's going to really open up the floodgates of the folks that are looking for that safe long-term investment with a very, very nice schedule to get your ROI, get that investment back in your pocket, and be able to grow from there. So check out that video. There's more videos that are being worked on. I know SK is diligently working on a bomb that's just going to explode over there in YouTube. And I know that a lot of investors here have personally written to me and expressed that they're just looking forward, because SK is really just somebody so special, and the way he deep dives, analyzes, on an analytical level, but makes it fun is just something that we can't wait for that to happen. That's going to be I think a tool that we're going to use also when new investors come over here and they never heard or haven't read the white paper. Not everybody likes to go and read, and we understand that. And one of the things that I encourage our admins, as well as moderators or anybody that's just an investor here, I don't want us to have that type of attitude. Hey, go read the white paper, and then come back. I think that we need to be more empathetic, and we need to understand that we need every one of those investors to come on board and invest with us. And if we have to sit and hold their hand, let's do that. Why not? We all were newbies at one point, and it's like getting told to go do your homework. Let's help you do it. Let's sit down with you and let's have a conversation. And if we have these fantastic tools, these fantastic videos, share those. Hey, why don't you take a look at this video? And if you have some more questions, come on over. We can go over the white paper together. I really encourage our folks here. We did that with our phase one. They were fantastic, very empathetic, and genuinely happy to help our new investors. Not everybody's an expert, and we don't expect you to be. And for our prime directive of bringing folks that have, some of them have never bought crypto in their life into a complex, sophisticated system like this, we need to, I think, just take a step back and be a bit more humble and understand that onboarding them is really the most essential part of our journey, of our survival, of our growth. And I think not only will we be able to grow, but we'll be able to thrive in doing so. Let's get this crypto. All right, let's see here. Are there any updates that you want to share with us, Mr. Brett?
No, I think that was a great summary. We are going to be trying to publish. I'm going to work with you after this, Atlas, to try to get as much of resale information out into everybody's hands, because we understand Europe's going to be asleep here soon, or if they're not already. So possibly having some things as they wake up available, I think might be a good idea regarding the public pre-sale. And then some great discoveries just with Kelly, just walking through things and kind of validating everything that we've been talking about, following a balanced strategy. Hyper compounding isn't good. And, the protocol naturally throttles just like drip does, in that if you do compound all the way to the end, you're really leaving a lot of the tokens behind, because you're hitting those whale tax tiers when you go to withdraw, and you're not able to withdraw as many because you're running into those taxes. So yeah, it just confirmed a lot of things that we've been talking about for a long time. in that you don't need to be a whale. You don't need to hold the largest, or the highest level NFT. That doesn't necessarily help you. And if you don't understand what you're doing with that in your hands and you are hyper compounding, you will be leaving a lot of money on the table. So yeah, a lot of great insights there, and definitely looking forward to our conversation with her tomorrow. And she can, present the calculator, and we can release it to the community. And yeah, it'll be great.
Thank you for adding to that, Brett. Fantastic, and well said. Very well said. Absolutely, guys. We I think are so confident and comfortable because we've been working on this for a very long time. I've been here since February to accomplish this goal, and the way it's come together, the team that's come around this project, from the coding side to the advisors, it's impressive to just look, who you're standing next to, shoulder to shoulder. And if you haven't looked around here in Telegram, some of the names, some of the teams that are involved, I suggest you do so. I think that you will be quite impressed, taken aback, especially if you've been around the scene for a bit. We are extremely proud of what's being put together. We are proud of the calculator and what it shows, and how the whole theory that's backwards, right, of what most investors do. And we saw that happen in our phase one. I remember every night telling investors, ladies and gentlemen, please, pretty please, sugar on top, pay yourselves, get the return on your investment, smooth sailing after that. And sometimes, no matter how many times you might tell somebody that, the greed takes over, the emotional monkey part of the brain. No, I want to be the whale. I want to get the max. I want to. It's look. We understand that part of ourselves that just wants to go for the gold, right? Wants to get there, and be the top, and that's not always the best strategy, especially in a system like this, guys. And learning from that, learning that there was great investors that got a great return on the investment in phase one, in the thousands of %, and there were some that didn't, and those that didn't follow the advice. I mean, it's plain to see. And I think a lot of the inspiration for this came from the mistakes that we saw in these systems and the human behavior. And it's almost, in a sense, what Brett's done here, taking those levers, taking those options away, so that folks are pretty much, not just encouraged, but to stay in a positive 2%, you've got to play the game in the best way. And it's a longer game, but like he said, you're leaving money on the table if you want to, try to change the system, right? So I think that the calculator is just going to put it all into a visual format that we're all going to get it like, oh shit, okay, all right, this much money or that much money, and I get to get my return on investment. Come on, guys, it's a no-brainer. So looking forward to that. We've had a lot of questions from folks, and we've asked you for the patience. Wait till the calculator comes. Let's sit down. Let's have a conversation. Let's understand everyone's goals, what they want to do here. You do not have to go out and recruit folks. You do not have to buy an NFT. You don't even have to buy any bond, LP. You can be a lone wolf investor and get 2% and do very well. And just like you would in a traditional brick and mortar business or an online business, as you're growing, it is quite normal to understand that sometimes you need to reinvest. You need to hire new staff. You need to upgrade your offices. You need to recruit talent, whether they be sales folks that are going to increase the revenue. You have to reinvest back into your business. And this is pretty much the same. You can do that through referrals or growth, or you can reinvest back to maintain that 2% level. And that's something that we're going to continue to dive into and understand a bit better. But it is logic. It is just common sense. If you have a money-making machine and you need to feed it, pulp, to make paper or whatever, right? You do that. You have to invest. and keep, your business at the most optimal level. So it's all been thought out. And, we encourage you guys, if you're confused, come ask us some questions. And with that, let's go ahead and take on some questions for this evening. Let's start first with anything to do with ARK. I know there's a lot of questions. Z showed up as well, and I think he's got a short time because he's got a trip coming up very shortly. But let's take care of a couple of ARK questions if you guys have, maybe about the public sale or maybe about Kelly Snow coming over tomorrow. Go right ahead. Hello, VJ.
Oh, sorry. Did I actually I think I unmuted myself accidentally, Atlas. I'm sorry. I didn't really have
No
a question.
worries. Hope you're doing well, my friend.
Absolutely, brother. Thank you very much for all your help.
You're very welcome. Glad to have you here. Welcome on board, man.
Thank
Is there
you.
someone that would like to ask a question for us this evening? We'd love to hear from you. Feel free to mute your mic and step up and have a conversation.
Hey, Atlas, how's it going, brother?
Very good. Welcome to the podcast this evening. Right ahead.
Do we have a price now for the NFT for the private pre-sale, or is that still in the works?
Still in the works, my friend. And it'll be out tomorrow, I believe, before early afternoon Europe time, maybe even in the morning. Like Brett said, we might be able to do some work on that this evening, so that when the European guys get up. But I'd like to extend it and not meet. I want to make sure we meet our deadline. So I believe by tomorrow afternoon Europe time, early morning USA, we should have the numbers for the private 1, 2, and 3.
Awesome. Yeah, I have a bunch of friends that I'm trying to explain this project to them, and they want to get in, and they just want to realize how much they need to invest. So once we find out that number, that'll be great.
Fantastic, and we look forward to welcoming them. sorry, over here to the ARK. And if they ever have any questions, as you know, you'll be able to help them, but also our admins, mods, and we've got a strict, very, very strict no poaching policy. And I do want to express that to you guys that let's keep it very clean here. Let's keep this channel educational, empathetic, friendly, fun as well. But we can recruit, and we can speak with folks and set up our teams individually in our own eco spaces and other chats. I hope you are all okay with that. I don't like the whole team promotion part, because if that's if that happens, then people wouldn't feel comfortable bringing their prospective investors to come and just look around and get a feel for what we're doing here, the type of folks that we are, and how we're positioning ourselves for a long-term investment in a very responsible manner. So I thank all you guys for that. Next question, please. All right.
Hello, Atlas. Hi.
Hello.
Hey, brother. This is Reboot here. Got a question. Probably you talk about this in another AMAs, but just in case I miss it, can you tell us about a little bit the story of ARK? Like, who came up with the idea? When do you guys started? Things like that. If you can chat to us a little bit about that. Thanks.
Great question, and welcome to the ARK Podcast this evening. Pleasure to meet you, sir. Well, the way it came together, there's this gentleman that I've known for some time, the owner of Rude's Cane's Lounge, RCL, and I did an AMA there about 1.5 years ago on the first project, and he's famous for having the most difficult AMAs out there. The guy's just brutal. They don't call him rude for a reason, but he's very thorough, and he's protecting his community, and he'll ask the hard questions, and he will show you up, and he will ask you what is the latest compiler version of Solidity that you used on that contract. And if you don't know, you better be ready to be laughed at. And unfortunately, a lot of folks are not prepared. So we make sure to make that one the first one the hardest, because everything else after that's pretty much smooth sailing when you're dealing with rude. If you get through there and you survive, and not only if you survive, but if you thrive there, you're going to do extremely well with your project. So that's how we met, and through time, established a great relationship, a lot of respect for each other. He's a fantastic individual, very successful businessman in the real world, and a crypto investor enthusiast. You know, he's got Solidity certification, Pluto as well, for quite a number of years. And he approached me, I think back in January, and said, "Hey, I missed out on Drip." And I mean, he's a huge whale in this space, and someone, like I said, very well respected. And he was looking for someone that had the leadership and really the experience to be able to bring something serious to the table. And he approached me and asked me, and at the time he knew that I'm working on something that's taking a couple of years. It's a very special, very different product on a layer one basis, all really functioning on renewable energy. And knowing that was taking me a lot of time, he said, do you think that you can, as you're working on the much bigger project, come and help us and create a Drip, but something that's even better? And that's how, it came to me, and I took the challenge. I said, hey, my project is something that involves many variables in the real world that have to come together in licensing, and I want to challenge, and that's how it came to me, and that's how I met SK Crypto K. We did a small group, a lot of founders and lounge owners, some big YouTubers like SK, and from there I really learned, because I wasn't an investor myself into any ROI DApp or Drip, and I wanted to learn. And my first questions were, how would you make it better? And that's where it all started. And we're very grateful to him, because he really, took me to school. And I spent a lot of time on his YouTube, doing research and calling him. And the guy's been just an incredible asset to me personally, and then later as the team grew to the rest of the team. And we went through 2 teams of coders that, unfortunately, Mr. Reboot overpromised and under-delivered. And I'm not talking about scammers and, little Fiverr type of Solidity guys. We're talking reputable folks working in, reputable companies. And, they take on so many things at the same time that, it's no surprise. I was at one point waiting 2 weeks to get a reply from a coder. And I was like, this isn't going to work. This is not going to happen. And on the search, looking to put together the best team, in that we realized that we have a community. I have a reputation, folks that have done well with me on that first project, and we're looking for the next big play. As I was working on what I was telling you, the bigger project that's going to take a couple of years to come to fruition. And we decided to just do something, because, building this big thing, this ARK, is not an easy feat. It takes a lot of time and a lot of work. So we, in that moment of doing something, we launched a miner on Kronos, which did extremely well. I think still to today holds the top TVL on the Kronos chain. And that thing just went through the roof. It was quite fantastic. And unfortunately, at that point, we launched at 53 cents, per crow, and we, it was the first kind of shoe to drop. And that was when Crypto.com took away the staking rewards for the card holders that were their clients, and people were really, really up in arms and upset. And we learned so much from that. We learned, hey, you never know how much downside is really there. I mean, at that point, we were looking to go to all-time high, and a lot of potential at that time too. The Super Bowl was happening. They had the commercial with LeBron James. I don't know if you saw that one, but these guys were moving in the right direction. $1 billion marketing budget. Everything seemed very exciting, and we also experienced a lot of investors that were abusing that system, and that just encouraged us more to take the time to sit down and develop a system where you wouldn't have to be looking over your shoulder what the other investor is doing, what the whale is doing. And also a great advantage to us was being able to see these amazing other projects that came during that time since February, and learning from their success and learning from some fumbles, and saying, hey, this can be improved. Let's alter this. Let's tweak it in a way, taking our experience, understanding that we're going through a very volatile bear market, and not just in crypto. It's really everything. It's the everything bubble that's coming in. All these stimmy checks and printing that has happened has to, it has to flush out. There has to be a major downside, and I think that that's one of the great things we have about the ARK, and having our liquidity controller, and understanding that there's so many people that are looking for a safe refuge, worried about what's happening to the fiat in their bank accounts. So that's kind of the full story. Sorry to go into so much detail, but I think it's important to voice that and explain to you where we've been, how we came together, and through the phase one, we also met Brett Norden and brought him on the team, and he's been the engineer really that's put this together with the help of the advisors like XK and Dr. Kelly Snook and so forth. Does that give you a little bit of insight, Mr. Reboot?
Oh yeah, absolutely, and I appreciate it, Atlas. That was a nice story. I'm not sure if you been in Drip, or did you start with Drip and invest over there, and then you started taking the ideas and starting from there. So that was your starting point to create these ROI. Is that what you said?
I understand the question. Could you maybe rephrase that? Or
Yeah, so if you started with investing in Drip, and that's when you got the ideas of the ROI dApps and all that stuff.
No, I never invested in Drip. I was approached by Brute Kane, who missed out on Drip, and he wanted a leader, somebody that's been proven as a developer to create a better, improved Drip.
Awesome. Well, I appreciate it so much. I really like the project, and I wish all success. And I'll be pendant of all the information on all AMAs.
Thank you so much, sir. Thank you for being here, and pleasure to meet you. Great question.
Thank you.
It's good to understand how things come together. I think it's quite fascinating. Some of the stories of some of the best companies and projects, and how the team. I like the part generally of how the team really came together, how they met each other. But yeah, it's been a journey, and I don't think any great company or feat comes very easily. I think that's something you have to work for and fight for. We had the patience to not give up, and to continue to seek the right team to be able to execute and get these contracts and get everything going, down from the way it works to what are the ways to make it more sustainable, and then of course the security on the contract level, and the advisors. And that's one of the great things too, that we've had interest from some fantastic investors that are proven, that have fantastic, huge teams, very educated, and understand how these systems work, and them going through our white paper and sitting here and asking us questions, and seeing their appetites just completely open. When we started last Friday our private sale round, and we expected a week for it to fill, and it was an absolute mayhem here of interested folks wanting to bring their teams over, wanting to really anchor themselves here, as they really understood the underlying beauty of what was created. So we're very happy. We're very poised in our vision, and bringing it all to fruition and creation. Is there somebody else that would have another?
Sorry, one more question is probably it's too soon, but you guys have any plans to work together with Ultimo? We have an AMA on their chat the other day, and it was quite interesting that you guys can work up together. That would be amazing.
Absolutely, we're very open. I mean, today we were in a private meeting with a very, very large group out of Italy. They actually got together and released 8 videos and dropped them all on YouTube at the same time yesterday. But anyway, going over there and engaging with their community. We did the day before yesterday, I believe, it was Monday. Yeah, Monday, we had another private group that we went over and spoke to them. And we're going to be doing some public AMAs as well. And that's really important to us. We want to go out and have a conversation, meet new investors, explain to them what's great about us, what's different about us, and what the proposition that we have for them at this time of uncertainty and doubt.
Hey, Atlas, the AMA that we did on Monday, I think that was the Ultimo DAO, and he mentioned that AMA was recorded on their channel.
Oh, okay. I didn't understand him. Thank you for clarifying that, Brett. My apologies, sir. Yeah. Do you think they would give that to us so we could post it here? The gentleman who asked the question?
Yeah.
Yeah, if you could find out, or I can get in a hold of DS and ask him for it, because it was great. I'd love to share it here. I know it's a private group. Maybe he'll want to share it or not. I'll go ahead and ask him. I have him.
Yeah, that's the thing with Ultimo. We can't share things from the DAO, so
Okay.
we might have to check it with DS. Yeah.
Okay, and I apologize for not understanding exactly what you said. So that's where you met us. That's where you first were introduced to us. Reboot, are you there?
Sorry, I just unmuted myself with my chick. Sorry. Yeah, no, I think it was the first time, yeah, I heard you guys, but I was checking you guys before, checking your white paper, your webpage and all that stuff with SK. So yeah, I've been checking on you guys way before that.
Okay, fantastic. Well, we were very happy to be there, and we hope to be back. I think we discussed of maybe before launch coming and answering more questions, as there will be more as we're getting near and more near every single day. We see we got Mr. T Drip in the house from the Drip Lounge, the DeFi Lounge. How are you doing, sir? Good evening.
Doing great, guys. How are you guys doing?
Fantastic. Very busy day. Getting ready for Dr. Kelly Snook to come over tomorrow with her calculator here live and direct. And we're going to go through it together, and just, the meeting we had with her privately today, looking at the numbers visually, it's look, I'm going to tell you, man, it's quite exciting. It's a beautiful thing what the investment has in store for us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I know a lot of people are familiar with Kelly Snook's earlier work, including myself, and are looking forward to that calculator.
I'll make sure to get that over to you. Actually, Brett, are we releasing that, or have we released that already? I've been here busy on the DMs.
Yeah, I had another voice chat with her. She's deep diving on a couple things. Just wanted to double check a couple of scenarios out, but and she's fine tuning some of the schedules. So she thought it would be better if we released it in the morning. So she and I are going to have another chat in the morning, and then make sure everything looks good, and then we'll post it here. And then she'll be on in the afternoon, so people can have a few hours at least to play with it before we have her on.
Fantastic. Looking forward to it. So yeah, we're excited about that. D-Trip, great AMA today. Second AMA that we have with our Italian official Italian group. If any of you speak Italian, you want to go hang out with them. Great set of folks, and they're passionate about ARK as generally the Italian culture is a passionate culture. So we're glad that they're bringing that here to the table, and they're going out to their communities and just getting them all really, really educated and understanding, what we've built here. So very encouraging to see that enthusiasm and passion that's coming forth. Not just from them. I see a lot of folks in here as well. Mr. T Drip as well, who is a syndicate founder here at ARK. Thank you for manning the comms and helping us with a lot of the questions that are coming through. It's a great example for our admins and moderators to have you come and break things down and answer these these very, very important questions. Because every time we see you answer it, it's a tool, it's an education that they take, and now they're able to incorporate that into their database, their knowledge, and disseminate that correctly. So thank you very much, Mr. T-Drip, for helping us with that. A round of applause.
Well, thank you, Atlas. I would give a shout out to Roy as well for his quite outstanding YouTube video today.
Oh, it was fire. And we had him come in and post it. I spoke to him a couple of days ago. Very professional young man, and came in, hungry with the Ascension crew and CFF, and that community, that team is just wonderful, man. It's an honor to have him on board.
It was pretty cool because he was able to build in those graphics and animations without the fully launched DApp, and make sense of all the mechanics of the ARK protocols. And I thought it really well done. I promoted it myself.
Hey, thank you for doing that. Yeah, he came through. I was thoroughly impressed, and just meeting him and having a conversation with him, I was already feeling quite comfortable, and looking forward to what he brings to the table. But I think he went above and beyond, and we want to continue our fantastic partnership and relationship with him and CFF and their whole group. Is these guys are they're very advanced, and they understand. I remember the first meeting Brett and I had with them. We were very impressed because we've had a lot of conversations with folks that, we sent them over the white paper, and they, we're supposed to look at it, and they didn't. And they just had the most basic questions. I always got to the point that I was a bit concerned about bringing anybody over and having, a conversation with Brett, because it was almost like amateur hour over and over. When these guys came, very, very well prepared. They had taken notes. They went through the white paper, I think they said even like 5 times. And every time they found something new. And you can tell when someone does their homework. And it's I think a sign of respect and appreciation for your time as well as theirs, because they're coming in to really, get clarification on anything that might have not just, sunk in, because it is quite, extensive and complex. There are definitely differences here in what we're doing. The calculations, it's not a copy paste job, as I think we all know by now. So great to see that.
Hey, Atlas, I've got to run into our family pictures. It's holiday time here. I don't know if anybody else has that tradition, but it's very stressful time too. But I just wanted to comment real quick that one of the takeaways, and the Italians really understood, which was real impressive. Those guys do their work. They're all experts in these other dApps. Is that with the tokenomics, the payouts that some people might be used to in some other DeFi protocols are much more conservative. And as we move this towards the mass market, it's almost like that reverse effect, where if somebody sees payouts that are extraordinary, they start to, get an uneasy feeling and almost don't trust it. If you're talking to your neighbor or someone down the street and they see what the ROI opportunity is in some of these daily ROI protocols, they just go, there's no possible way. How is this sustainable? This isn't possible, right? So the Italians got it right away. They said, hey, great, as you move this towards the mass market, it's more important to be conservative. It's better to build the long runway and not pay out these astronomical amounts that we're seeing in some of these dApps. So I just wanted to highlight that because I think it kind of fits with our mantra, our approach to the market. It is a little different. It's more conservative, but I think it fits where we're headed. And if we really want mass market adoption, we've got to be cognizant of the typical investor and what they're traditionally going to get if they even stake crypto somewhere. What are the APRs they're talking about? We're still talking about a huge ROI, huge X's, big percentages, but it also has to, make sense to people. So I just wanted to kind of leave that message there. And if you had any comments about it, otherwise I've got to jump into these photos and then I will catch you in about a half hour.
Thanks, Brett. Go get that picture. Make the happy family. Sorry, make the family happy. So, Z, are you here this evening, my friend? I've been looking around for you. I saw you were here early. And you're telling me you're here. What's up, my friend? How you doing?
We good. How you doing, Atlas? You good? How's life?
Fantastic. Beautiful day. Great things coming. I'll tell you privately, as I've already repeated a couple things. Right off the bat, we had some questions, directed towards you, as a lot of folks are, maybe not sitting in stable, and they're a bit concerned, and they're hearing the alarms go off,
of course,
which is really just playing out. The warning shots have been fired. Z.
Absolutely.
But we're calm, cool, and collected. We're calm, cool, and collected. That's why we built the ARK for that, long-term sustainability. However, there's a lot of folks here that want to just understand what went down today from your analysis. So, hey, the stage is all yours, brother. Go right ahead. Thank you.
Yeah, no, I'd like to start out with like an official statement, right? Because I think this is important, and then we can sort of comment on this. So Binance have put a statement out, and it reads out: as a result of corporate due diligence, as well as the latest news reports regarding mishandled customer funds and alleged U.S. agency investigation, we have decided that we will not pursue the potential acquisition of FTX.com. And that's how we start the day. Like that's how we sort of continue and look for opportunities, because these sort of things, they are, events that happen. And because we have so many freaking Bitcoins and I think, you can say stables on these custodial exchanges, us folks, we need to understand the importance of keeping a private wallet to keep things decentralized, because it's these sort of things that get leveraged. And that's why we look at technicals. Technical analysis is so much more fundamental now. And I think, I don't know if I've told you, but I was telling folks that 15K is going to be an important region as we go into this bearish market, as interest rates go up, as we go through midterms. So this was something even before these statements came out. Last week, I told you the you can say the big elections, the congressional elections that are happening in America, they're going to be connected to big events. And today, and we got the act, we got the first piece of the act this week, where Sam Bankman-Fried and sort of CZ were firing quite a few sort of shots at each other, and then they started having internal communication. And what CZ did was he basically announced that he was acquiring FTX. So for me, that was a big move for the guy to make. And now to see the current updates, to see that they have gone against pursuing the acquisition of FTX, and now price went from $20 to $2. So for technical analysis, like this is a place of opportunity. But for most people that are, like the issue with sort of the common investors, we get really attached to price, and we make an emotional attachment to the tokens we have. This is why it's really important. The amount of times I think you've mentioned to pay yourself, and I've mentioned to folks to always take profits and not just hodl. Always take your initials, and if there's profits to be made, then make sure that you pay yourself. And it's because of these sorts of situations. I mean, you don't need the fundamentals to tell you that there's liquidity at 15K, then there's liquidity at 10K, and then I would say 8K. And the same thing with Ethereum. I think Ethereum could hit $600-700. It's a possibility with the way things are sort of progressing. So that's like the main headline. My opinion right now is not to buy the dip, to wait for it to play out, because what folks are doing right now is they're going back into the markets and they're buying dips. And just now a friend of mine messaged me, says he bought FTX at $5 and at $4, and I told him to sell it off, and he sells his FTX for $4.50. And could you at least tell me the price action of FTX right now?
Hold on a second. Let me actually, I got a chart right here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, USDT.
Yeah, type in FTX USDT.
190.
190, right? So only like 4 hours ago, I told him to sell his FTX at $4.50, and he was angry at me. He goes, "Why are you taking an opportunity away from me?" I'm like, "Dude, I care for you. I care for people, and I understand price action. This is going to 150. This is what I told him 6 hours ago. And right now, someone told me here $1.90, and I was gonna say 220, but we're at 190 right now. This is the thing, like, understand, guys, that these sort of tokens and these sort of exchanges are funds, and this is where a lot of money gets swapped, and it's important for us to not be emotionally attached to price action. That's why we have sort of projects like ARK that basically keep you tethered away from these sort of moments and keep it in a passive income, because and these are the kind of projects that I'll always attach to, because whenever you play at sort of the inflation part of crypto, yeah, we enjoy them when things are going up, but then when you tell folks to take profits, that's when they tell this is like this was about a year and a half ago. This is not long ago, but when Bitcoin hit 67K, I told folks that this is the top. It's time to take some profits in any of your crypto exchanges, because from here we're gonna have a 50% pullback, and we did. We had a 50% pullback all the way down to 30K and down to 20K. Now 15K. So that's yeah. Go for it.
Pardon me to interrupt. It was great insight. I'm wondering, do you short? And also, do you think CZ would have played a short position knowing that he could have made a killing after the news, after he released his own news that he would be acquiring FTX, and essentially been able to pay for the price of what he was going to get for FTX with that short?
Oh, yeah. That's really interesting. The thing is, like, a person like CZ has so many public assets that he's not allowed to do what we do in our sort of DeFi land and be able to leverage a short. Because if CZ takes a short, any of those exchanges, they know his numbers, and they would make. So I don't think CZ is doing that, but I'm sure his folks and friends and family are are looking for a short. But that's my opinion. I don't think he officially would take a short like that. I think it's a thin line to chaos if he does that.
Oh, I see. So his funds are too public to and also documented, just like in equities, right? With insiders and stuff, right?
Absolutely. I mean, even if he was doing it privately, by now someone would have showed him a transaction and asked his opinion on Twitter. So he wouldn't risk that.
I think that guy is like so rich, or so much money, has so much power, like without doing let's say shady stuff. I don't think that he wouldn't even consider to plan such a move.
I
mean, read the note that he was sending today to the Binance employees. I mean, you can. I mean, in my opinion, even though I don't understand the whole beef and why they have to do that so publicly, but when it comes to handling like situations and like somehow controlling or calm down the market, he does a very good job. Starting with the thing with these memes, with the meme like all your funds are Safu. Back in the days when Binance had like technical problems and stuff, and he was always, I mean, all the exchanges have some problems sometimes, but Binance and CZ are really pretty transparent and communicating a lot to the outside world and traders and whatsoever, and I think that is a really strong and really good behavior.
I mean, like one thing I'll give kudos to CZ. Sorry, before you make the statement, like one thing I'll give to him is like he's not like whilst everyone's distancing themselves from Almada and FTX, this dude is actually, saying I'm willing to acquire. So I give him that respect that whilst everyone's denying their exposure towards FTX and tweets are going out, he's someone that basically is open to buying FTX. So that's my opinion. But you were going to say something? Sorry.
Oh yeah, no, this is great. I love picking the brain of great, great players. And I was just wondering, what do you think? Couple random. What do you think Luna can rebound? And do you think Crow can take the place of Binance in the future? And also, can Binance, you think, be censored like USDC can be blacklisted with that whole tornado thing?
Yeah. So basically, let's start with could Crypto Crow? Is it Crypto.com? Did you just mention Crypto.com?
Yeah. Crow, Crypto.com. Yeah.
So Chronos Chain is something I studied in much detail because I saw a bunch of tokens get launched there. Chronos Chain can basically handle quite a bit of traffic, but not as much as we think it can. I think it's going to take another few years for them to go 1,000, 6,000, 7,000 TPS transactions per rate. So I think Crypto.com, as much as they have potential, as much as they have the sponsorships, they don't have the technology.
My sound went off.
Oh, his sound went off. Oh no, should I repeat myself? We'll just wait for him to come back, then I'll get my opinion. But no, it's a really interesting discussion. It's a really, really interesting discussion because there's a bunch of things that we update and we call them sort of black swan events. We call them, we give them different labels. But from a technical standpoint, we just see them as sort of liquidity traps. We see them as pools of money. And then that's what we sort of mark on the charts. And we can bring in all the fundamentals that we can. It's really important that folks understand technical levels.
Sorry, excuse me, Z, I can't hear you.
You can't hear me? Can anybody hear me?
I can hear you, yeah.
Yeah,
I can.
Yeah, I'm sorry, Neto, man. Like, I'd love you to hear my opinion. Maybe next time I'll be on the podcast regularly. But yeah, some interesting questions. But yeah, like Atlas, what's your sort of opinion on the updates? Do you see it all technically, or do you get trapped in the emotions of things? How do you feel?
Well, I feel great because I honestly don't give a shit. I'm so detached from the being inside of that type of trade that I don't want to play that game anymore. I want to play this game, and obviously how hard we work here, how focused we are. So I've become tired of the whole Elon tweets and all the little games that are played, and I think said here 2 nights ago that this whole little storm is orchestrated by probably both of them, and they're probably sitting back like, oh my god, this is a fun, and not to go to buy into that, but understanding exactly what you said, those emotions. I don't want to deal with those emotions. I almost died and had a heart attack because of that, and building the ARK has been really a dream come true to be able to be in crypto, interact with folks, and provide that stable return on investment. And I think, to me, that's the holy grail, not the speculation. What's going to happen tomorrow, next week? Who cares? They're going to be there, and there's going to be sideways markets. There's going to be bear markets. I honestly think that this narrative that's unfolding, which I personally feel that and believe that this was coming. You don't know exactly when, but I think it just fits right into what we're doing here, giving folks that safe haven, that passage through the uncertainty and the fear, the doubt on a global economic scale. It's not just crypto, guys. It's everywhere. You don't print these stimmy checks and expect for the shit not to hit the fan. It's just going to happen, and I'm just happy to not have to depend on it and play the game for my survival anymore. So That's kind of how I feel about it. Maybe it's not the most politically correct answer, but according to what we're doing here, I think it actually fits completely the narrative, and more folks realizing that those, 100x, shit tokens and all the stuff and all those memes, that's done. People are tired. We have to find real value. We have to sacrifice, and we have to have a long-term vision, and we have to do our due diligence on projects, their teams, their roadmaps. It's easy to promise and under-deliver. People are sick and tired. So I think if you put your efforts into feeding that vacuum, that emptiness of where do I go, well, go back to the roots, go back to DeFi, go back to staking, and come here, because we have that for you. And we're even bringing our liquidity controller that is going to really provide a very, very smooth sailing for the ARK. And that's going to be so. I'm so into that, man. That's why I love that you come and you talk about that. I'm in stables, been in stables for quite a while, understanding that I'm not seeing any upside. I don't even want to take or even any type of leverage position, even to the downside, understanding fully and believing fully that that's the game, because I don't want to look at a chart.
Absolutely. Yeah. That's good. It's good. Like, this is how people should be thinking. And we will be here doing our podcast and highlighting things, because dude, history repeats itself. This is nothing new. Like, we've seen these sort of black swan events over and over and over again. And in a few years, we'll have the same thing. In a few years from there, we'll have the same thing. It's just different names on the Monopoly board. But yeah, but that's my opinion. And I'm not giving way too into it. To me, I'm technically aligned, and my emotions are out of this game that way. And I think more people should do the same. But that's my opinion. And I got to get back to packing and traveling, but it's been fun, and I'll keep coming.
Thank you so much for making the cameo appearance tonight, Z. And I guess there will probably be a couple of days through your travels where we should expect you back, but we'll be in contact on WhatsApp, and I wish you a safe passage.
Oh, thank you guys. Thank you guys. Much love.
Okay. Thank you, sir. Take care of yourself. Good trip. Let's get this crypto. All right. We got Dima in the house. Been a long time I haven't seen you, my friend. Hope you're doing well. I wrote you earlier tonight. Happy to see you over here. Got a lot of exciting things to tell you, my friend. I'll give you a call. But I think it's pretty, he's over in China, so it's pretty late over there. Is there any other questions, comments for tonight's podcast? Please step up, unmute your mic, and let's have a conversation.
I've got a quick question. It doesn't deserve a long answer.
Okay.
Yeah. So, pulling on the thread of the bear market, what is with Atlas particularly? What is a strategy you guys have developed? Because you're essentially, I think I'm not alone in this idea that we're all going to see one or two more major corrections, in the coming couple of months. For the protocol, do you have a bear market strategy, or is it just the tokenomics itself, it being sustainable, could sustain it? Carla, would you?
Great question, and I'll try to be brief. Look, it's been designed for all markets and independent of the volatility of what's happening outside. That's really where the liquidity controller comes into play. Once we get to our target range, we want to stay there and be pegged and be able to give a steady return on investment at a 2% level to every one of our investors. So I think it's pretty simple to understand that we don't have to be concerned of what's happening on the exterior. We just have to stay focused into our peg, onboarding new investors. And I think as this all plays out, and what you suggested of further downward pressure on the markets, that here more folks will be attracted to our offering in these uncertain times. Does it answer your question?
Absolutely. Cheers.
Okay. I try to be brief because I can go on and on, man, into a whole, speech about that. But look, it's the reality. It's what's out there, and we all know it. You don't have to be afraid of crypto. You just need to be in a crypto investment that is built for exactly that scenario. So, like I said earlier, the narrative is actually perfect. It's almost like if you timed it perfectly, and it wasn't done on purpose. It was just having the vision and understanding that, a product like this is absolutely necessary, not just for us, not for just the degens, and not just for folks that are looking for that safe haven, but also for the average Joe that's out there. That's where our mobile app is really going to come into play, and it's going to cross over into mainstream, global adoption, as folks are really worried not only about their crypto but their fiat. It's a reality. So take some of that fiat, convert it, come into stable, here, with us, and get yourself some ARK, come into our ARK vault and start earning 2% a day, and let us do what we know how to do, which is educate and get those folks over here. Having that mobile app also will make things so much easier. There's always a learning curve when you come to DeFi and MetaMask and so forth. Great question, sir. Thank you. Who else would like to ask a question? Go ahead, sir.
Yeah, thanks. This is great. What is your take on the CBDC situation and what ways? Because it's actually a very worrisome thing. Myself and others are discussing, and what kind of ways to protect from this, like swap, future swap, that I understand, and are there any other better jurisdictions to be, for example?
Good question, and I think at least for the United States, Circle with their USDC product will most likely have that front runner position as to be accepted and tie in with them into a digital US dollar currency backed by the US government. It will be interesting how they play that out, especially when it comes to KYC. We've already seen with the Tornado Cash debacle that USDC was very open to being the instrument of the long arm of the law of the United States of America. Really, freezing the assets in USDC of wallets that had transacted or in any way touched anything to do with Tornado Cash. And that's one of the reasons too that we decided to go with a pairing of BUSD, letting you, the investor, make the decision how you want to, take your earnings here from the protocol and bringing that over onshore to your life, to your wallets, whether you want to do that with Tether, if you want to do that with USDC or even BUSD. We believe that by putting you into a box, a situation that we know is forthcoming soon, that by limiting ourselves to a USDC pair, we're kind of taking that decision away from you. And I don't think we're in a position, or should be in a position, to put you there. I think we picked the right pair, BUSD, and then you can make your decisions. Does that kind of answer your question, Nato?
Oh, yeah, but it's coming, so we want to preserve the buying power, right? What? This is probably an international crowd. What would you say is the best jurisdiction? Because the map is looking dire in terms of the rollout for this CBDC, and not sure how much time we have.
Well, look, we've already seen China's stance, right? and them absolutely not wanting their citizens to getting involved with any mining. They talk it's about an energy issue, and it could very well be that. But there absolutely most likely going to be controls that are going to be really brought into place. Z was talking here about, I think 3 nights ago, of the European, Eurocoin, and I have not really had any time to look further into it and see what are some of the stipulations, especially on the KYC side. I don't think it's going to be. I don't think there's going to be very open and free. And I think the same thing in the United States. Portugal, for tax purposes, is a great safe haven for crypto nomads and investors if they want to go and download their crypto earnings over there and maybe go back to their home after that. But I don't really foresee what a good jurisdiction would be. Switzerland's always been a great place to be able to go and do business, but getting a visa and a passport there is quite the uphill battle, if you know what I mean. It's not so simple. They didn't just accept anybody. So that's a great question. I don't think I have really a lot of answers except the uncertainty and understanding that that's coming. And we've thought about that in doing this project, and that's why I mentioned going with BUSD instead of USDC, as originally we were going to launch on Kronos paired with USDC, and that became sort of a concern that maybe is not a problem today, but it could very well be a problem tomorrow. And we're looking here for being for years, not for a couple of months. So there's not a lot of options and resources. I have my own personal views and how I handle where I live and my tax situation, and that's something I'd rather not discuss too openly. In private, I could probably give you some pointers and tips. I don't know where you are, but there's always sort of ways, and there are P2P markets that are reliable and safe that folks can for now at least interact and be able to connect to their crypto and buy and sell and not have to put your KYC on an exchange. But again, I do suggest and recommend that everyone follows the laws or whatever jurisdiction they are in.
Yeah, no. This is unfair. That was a loaded question. Excuse me for that. But I don't know if you're in US, right?
Oh no, I went off grid of about 4.5 years ago. I am not anymore in America.
Oh, okay, that's great. That's actually great. But for those, let's say in US or something, let's say it hits, right? They announce something and boom, we're going to do a swap. We're introducing a wonderful thing, CBDC, whatever they call it now, right? The digital dollar, right? Or whatever, digital euro, whatever. And now we're going to do a swap for everything in your bank account. Boom, everybody gets a message from their national banks, your regional banks, whatever, saying, okay, that's it. We're going to do a swap because now we're transforming the way you reimagine the dollar or whatever the currency is. And then you're stuck. Then you have to get a swap. So how do we front run that? How do we avoid, what are you only in crypto? And do you use a special kind of debit, special way to purchase without your name tag to it? Is it some remote entity? And I know it's a bit much, but is there a way we can get some suggestions on this? Because we want to work together long term, right? But we also want to use this as an asset in the future. So what's the best way to do that? Because listen, I see some really awful stuff, and I do believe that the jurisdiction in the future will also prevent mobility, right? Freedom of movement and stuff as a first step before, so to prevent people from leaving, right? Like they're already doing. For example, sidebar, there are bills coming in U.S. that are intended to prevent people from honoring visas to travel for certain offshore, passports, like in the Caribbean islands, for example. So there are actually bills on the horizon. Without going into too much more, but this is a concern, a huge concern, the biggest concern, I would say. So what do you think on it?
Well, to answer your clear questions, no, I only use fiat on a daily basis as needed. Personally, I I do not feel comfortable keeping anything in the bank. That's just my personal choice. And when I need fiat, I transact, and I can tell you that I do not have my information out there on exchanges. And I do private transactions, P2P transactions. And I have a corporation. I have several things that I do need to use fiat for, and accounts to keep funded to just cover my personal daily expenses, right? But I'm very, very concerned, and that's why I don't put my information out there. Just 2 days ago, I think it was 2 days ago, was an article published. They caught a guy that had, I think, $3.5 billion worth of Bitcoin. The feds in the United States. This is I believe, New York district. I know we have Silver here, and he could probably help us a lot. I sent it to him actually this morning, and maybe he wants to step up. But I know he said he was with family.
The Silk Road, right? The Silk Road guy, right?
Well, this guy had stolen from Silk Road. He was a hacker. That's why I would love Silver whenever he gets some time, maybe not tonight or another night, to talk a little bit about that and see if he has any info. Maybe he does, maybe he doesn't. I don't know, but he would probably be the best person to give us more clarity on that if he finds some time. But it's a decade since that hack happened. We saw also a couple in New York, a Russian guy with an American wife, about maybe kind of bad with time, maybe 6 months ago, 5 months ago. And that was the BitMEX hack. And they were sitting on a couple of $1 billion too. And they were paying with their VPN with a credit card in their name. I mean, it's just the dumbest stuff. They used Tornado, and they were transferring money in and then splitting it, into like 25 different wallets. I mean, they did so many stupid mistakes, man. There's a really cool video I could send you about that you're just, get some popcorn, man, sit back and watch what happened to them. So it just goes to show, and I think there's no secret why the United States Tax Revenue Service increased their staff exponentially. And a lot of it was, earmarking and understanding how many, back taxes they were calculating out there, particularly to crypto. They also started the crypto task force. Let me think here. What was the name? No, I know it's not the crypto task force. Maybe it'll come back to me in a little bit, but it's getting intense. So they traced this guy for something that happened 10 years, and it's kind of interesting. They're putting a guy in jail for stealing from the guy who was creating the marketplace for transactions to happen in the dark net, and it's just mind blowing. So there is no mystery or secret that they are definitely wanting to go back in time and see who's who and what they did and what they have or what they didn't have or what they lost. And with that, that's one of the reasons that I do try to recommend folks to just be mindful and careful. With that, I personally protect myself that way, but everybody has different, I think, priorities and fears, and generally, if you're not doing anything wrong, if you're not sitting on billions or millions of dollars, I think most folks generally, do not have to be afraid. If you're not doing anything illegal, you shouldn't be too afraid. But I do see what you're saying. It has nothing to do with illegality. It's just, if they do a swap, that could go in a, let's say a neutral, fair manner, or it could actually be something that would be extreme. But I doubt it would be that way just personally. You don't want anarchy and a revolt. Generally, I think with the COVID too, don't use cash. Now you can pretty much pay everything with your phone. Like we here at our home, we don't use cash. So I think the slow adoption is kind of the way that they kind of reel you in, and it is scary, especially when you think about a credit score that would be applied to folks and travel restrictions. My friend Dima, who was just here, I've known him for 14 years. We've done a lot of business. I lived in China doing business, and he lives under that regime. He doesn't complain. It's generally kind of a slow little process. Before you know it, you're like, hey, what happened here? You follow what I'm saying?
So, like the frog gets cooked, boil the frog, and it doesn't know until it's too late. So we're boiling the frog right now, and the issue is going to be when it happens. So, I mean, I guess you're saying, yeah, be careful, yeah, and I mean, I want to get out of the system, okay, and I think other people listening too as well, and other buddies as well in our group. So, I mean, what's the best way to do it? Options are getting every what? Oh, excuse me, I heard an echo. But it sounded like you ramp out with peer-to-peer using another entity or something like that. That's not connected to you. Is that right?
Correct. That is correct, and I'm okay with that. I'm fine with that. I prefer not to be reported and on anybody's list, and it's just something that just makes me kind of feel uncomfortable. And I am in Europe. It's no secret. Dr. Marcel was here with his wife and daughters 3 weeks ago in my home. I've got crypto friends. People know where I live. I'm not trying to hide from anybody or anything, but I understand even where I live in the Canary Islands, there's over, I think, 10,000 people, and they call it under investigation. Like if you've done something wrong, just the fact that you've interacted with crypto. And I just don't like that personally. It's just not for me to have people delve into your financial, especially when it comes to crypto. I think that if you do things correctly, and if you know how to set yourself up, and I've done quite a lot of P2P trading too in the past couple of years. I remember, a lot of business when Binance was blocked from, the European banking system. So the customers weren't able to onboard or offboard through their accounts, even though when they signed up, they could. And that was, I believe, I can't tell you for a fact that it was because they weren't really sharing information and they didn't feel they had to comply. But they did something very smart, and they started their internal peer-to-peer marketplace. It was free with escrow covered by them. And I did a lot of work on that, and it was quite demanding, as a lot of folks needed to onboard and offboard. So there you need companies, you need personal accounts, and it's again not illegal. You can buy and sell crypto in Europe, completely legit and with all legal. You don't need a license to be able to do that. So it was a bonanza, going on. Then they got I guess nice and cozy with the ECB, and they were allowed and invited to come back into the system. And that's why I think also Binance in that aspect does not, it's not somebody that would feel very comfortable in putting my personal information on. As I understand, logically, I assume that they're reporting, right? So it was good. It's good that happened. It showed us ways, and I think the folks that are doing that, first need to make sure it's legal in their jurisdiction. But if you could put an extra layer, an extra step between you and that, I definitely go for it. And I do like. I think you're still in America. I do like very, very much being here in Europe. I can't say this is the most relaxed place, but I do see America just personally deteriorating, and a lot of stuff happening. And I mean, the economy and everything in Europe is going even worse. But just the quality of life and living, I do prefer it here. You can get in your car and you can drive. There's no police on the street, pulling up behind you and running your license plate and always looking over the back mirror. I always felt like there was this tension in my shoulders that I didn't realize was there until I came here and would drive. And and here where I live, they have to put on at night. The police have to put their patrol lights on. They're not flashing them, like they're just on, so you can see them coming from a mile away. So if you're going fast, you just slow down, and even then, they will not stop you for speeding. They have cameras. They'll send you a citation that you have to pay, and but you don't have that feeling. Do you know what I'm talking about, Nato? When you're
1,000%, absolutely. The tension is present. When I was in Asia recently, I felt it was welcoming, friendly. I didn't feel any funky tension and stuff like that. Yeah, absolutely. And I agree with you. Would you be mind sharing what country you're in? Europe?
I am in Spain, in the Canary Islands. This is off the coast of West Africa. We have the third largest volcano in the world that I live on my island, which I'm not too concerned about. And we have fantastic weather all year round. It's around 76 degrees average, no mosquitoes, no snakes, or kind of creepy animals that you have to worry about. And personally, I feel I'm in paradise. My grandmother is from here, so that was one of the first. I wanted to be in Europe, but I did not want to be in the cold. So I literally found for myself the best place, and being able to come back to my roots. I have cousins here that I never had met around my age, and coming back and meeting your family your blood is pretty cool. So I love it here, and we're about a 2.5 hour away from mainland Spain. Right in front of the Sahara Desert off the coast of West Africa. So absolutely love it, man.
That's fascinating. And you renounced then, you said you were in U.S. when you were in U.S., so you renounced U.S. and then you moved there, right?
That's correct. Yeah.
In America is going to make it harder and harder to do that. There was a backlog of about 12 months or more to do that with embassy during the COVID time. And I'm sure there's going to be more and more exit moving forward. But this whole IRS, this whole army that is being created to basically shake up everybody and to put everybody in a microscope is very concerning. And you don't feel free anymore. And also the unrest from everything happening with inflation and the whole breakdown. Everything is not business friendly. It's not as much, big cities going to crap. And also the regs that are coming, which will be coming, very scary, very concerning. I want out. And that's why I want to find projects that are good but find out how to operate proper. So if there's a way I could talk to you maybe outside of it, not too much of your time, I really appreciate it.
Yeah, on phase one here, we helped quite a few people that contacted me privately, and I gave them some advice and some consulting just to help them to have a little bit more of that freedom. And I do encourage folks. I mean, that's why we build this. We want to get rid of the wage slavery that folks are under, and coming to projects like this, I think is a great solution. It's an opportunity for folks to do that, and getting out of America, man. I could tell you, I just gave you one example of so many of just feeling a lot more relaxed. It's a completely different vibe, and that one probably, that one I think was one that really I felt the most, because I always had this tension on my neck, and half the time I'm looking in the back view mirror, of going to a stop sign, and I'm not looking for safety. I'm looking, is there a police? Is there somebody that is, infringing on my space or my territory, and, with their means, and, you get pulled over, you don't know if the guy's going to, be respectful and, treat you like a citizen, or if he's going to have an attitude. Maybe he's having a bad day and he's going to kick the cat, it's an uncomfortable feeling that you just grow accustomed to, and you don't realize that it's a problem until you get out of that. Not to say
and Atlas, and then where oh, pardon me, where you're at, you don't have to do any reporting or anything like that. You're completely free, right? You're free from the system that way, right?
No. I have citizenship here, which is one of the great advantages of coming. And I have to report and I have to pay taxes like everyone else. I absolutely do. Now, that's my choice of what I want to show and what I want to transact and what comes into my accounts and what doesn't, and who owns what, if it's me or if it's a corporation offshore. That is, there's a lot of creative ways for you to structure yourself where they can't take it away from you, because that's, I think, the main, prime directive is structuring yourself so that nobody can.
Exactly what I want to learn, if you don't mind. I think a few people want to learn this. Some people believe it's not possible, but you're an example. You're a great example of what's possible to escape the system.
Yeah, you could live in the matrix and you could be a piece of code that just doesn't stand out. Right? You don't have to be. You're in the matrix still. You still got to pay fiat. You still got to pay for electricity, and you still have to go through all of the normal things. Have insurance on your vehicles, and be a good, outstanding citizen. Why not? I'm not ready to go live in the jungle, man. I've been to the jungle quite a lot, but to live there.
Why don't we go to Satoshi Island together?
We actually have a friend that has a project called Satoshi Island. He's a friend of Z's. They were partners. They're factory cousins. I don't know if you actually meant that island, or you were just saying
in
Satoshi
Vanuatu.
Island.
You mean the Vanuatu one that they're doing?
Yeah. Yeah, that's a friend of ours. That's his cousin.
Oh, okay. Because another mentioned the pre-sale on it with ETH recently, and so there's a lot of partners looking to do that. I guess it's going to be the next big thing, huh? Jurisdiction.
Yeah, I don't know. I get a little wary of the things like that. I'd want to see the actual sewer system first. If you know what I mean. I mean, a picture of a nice, beautiful mansion sounds exciting, but I mean, is there any sewer system? It's slightly more complex, and I don't know, and I haven't had a lot of time to do due diligence on that to say, oh, that's something viable. But Vanuatu is a great passport to get. It's probably one of the best ones to be able to acquire, in my opinion.
So is that what you're getting, or do you have another one?
No, but I was even thinking to go to Portugal, because I have Spanish citizenship and I can go to Portugal any day. However, I am getting a citizenship for my wife, and being here in Spain for a couple of years, I'm going to be able to accomplish that much easier. So that's the reason I haven't gone to Portugal. I think it's a really cool place there. But even then, I'm like, I like it here much better. Just the temperature, the weather, the people. But for tax, purposes, especially as we grow here, I think we're all going to do very, very, very well. And it's kind of nice to be able to just say, hey, I'm going to show you everything. I don't have a problem with that. So that's kind of, I think a future goal, most likely, but we have to see what's going to happen there. And I think the ECB might just become more strict. I know they've been putting a lot of pressure on Portugal, not only with the crypto folks, but the folks that are retired that are going to Portugal, for how cheap it is and safe, and they actually want your business and they'll respect you and treat you, with open arms. They're happy to have, pensioners come over. So they've got some very, very low tax rates for pensioners. And a lot of folks were, pretty much migrating over to Portugal, and the ECB kind of didn't like that. So I know they've been making some changes, and I have a fantastic attorney here, and he was looking into that for me, to see the changes that they did back in December. But since it's not something I'm going to do now until my wife gets her citizenship here from Spain, and it's not really something that I'm looking at right now.
So you don't report what you do on the crypto side in Europe, right?
Correct.
That's why you keep what's minimum what's minimum for use needs, it just cancels itself out. Basically, like a business expense, what you do in the fiat world, right? Like what you come out with.
Yeah, that's correct.
And you use an entity for those expenses, which are off outside of the jurisdiction where you're at. Right.
That is correct. That is correct. Mm-hmm.
Is that like can you share what jurisdiction that is? I was looking at Dubai, but not sure if that's a good option.
I lived in Dubai. I'll be honest with you, I didn't like it. That was maybe 14 years ago. It's changed, quite a lot, but it was not a good year for me. I was there for a year, working a structured trade finance for Abu Dhabi Commercial Bank over there, and man, it's such a change going. At that point, I went from New York over to Dubai. The culture, the food, and just their mentality is quite different for us to kind of adapt to. It is very safe, but the rules are pretty stringent. I mean, to give you an example, if you're caught driving with 0.00001% of alcohol, you're going to jail for 4 years, mandatory minimum. You don't go to court, you go to sentencing. And one of the great advantages is that twice a week you can order fast food, like pizza delivery, if you have money on a debit card or credit card. But one of the bad things about it is that there's a 99% age rate in the men's jail, if that tells you anything.
What? 99% what?
Age rate.
Okay, so yeah, but what jurisdiction do you recommend for that company?
Singapore is great. That's a great place to do business, and they want to do business with you.
Where?
Singapore. Singapore is a great place. They want to do business with you.
But if I was in Singapore, you have to have a lot of capital to have a bank relationship as a foreign national, right?
Right, but we're talking here a business entity and not looking for a visa or residency, which are completely different. You can have offshore in Singapore.
Okay, so like OEB, to get a foreign bank account though, it's a high minimum, right?
I mean, yeah, that's a like I say, if you have that problem, it's a good problem to have. But I prefer maybe not to go into more detail on that, if you don't mind, publicly here.
Oh, no worries. Excuse me for that. I got carried away. You're a wealth of wisdom. I appreciate it.
Always happy to speak to you privately, man. But even here, I mean, I think there's a lot of people that are having the same questions you do, and they're looking at the future, and especially in America, I think a lot of folks are quite concerned with the political instability and deterioration of infrastructure. And I mean, it's kind of messy, man. It's kind of messy. And I have my family, my mother and father over there. I mean, they're safe. They're okay. I don't think that, things have gotten to a point that folks are in complete, fear for their life and their livelihood. Right. But, quality of life, definitely outside there are really good places. And, I think also for example, Singapore is a really good place for British nationals to have their corporations there, the taxes that you have to pay and get residency over in Singapore for them is it's almost like a no-brainer. If you have capital, you definitely want to leave there. I mean, you're paying all these taxes for shitty fucking weather. Like who wants that, right? And if you go to Singapore, you can always go back to the UK, and visit. Just don't stay over 6 months. There's a couple little variables that people need to be mindful of.
How much capital do you need to set that up for Singapore, roughly? Like the baseline?
I'd have to check what's been happening because I've done that a couple of years ago. So I'd have to see what's really the rates and what rules or things might have changed since then. But like I said, you can hit me on the DMs.
Thanks, bro. And by the way, a lot of times people don't are, I guess, shy or something to ask the questions. But I got to ask the questions. A lot of people want this information. This is very, very helpful, actionable, and timely, especially with what's going on in the world in U.S. And like you said, I got this feeling they're gonna prevent people from. First, it's like COVID is like a test. It's like a test for what's to come. You know what I mean? Like it's gonna be worse, more restrictive. This whole reset thing, prevent people from moving, right? Declare some emergency order or some nonsense, and then boom.
Neto, I'm sorry, but I don't want to interrupt, but I think we've strayed very much away from the purpose of the AMA. So we're still on recording, so I think we should keep those questions for when the recording stops, so we can go over them and talk about them.
S23, yeah, good idea, man. Better we don't get to too many details. But yeah, man, I agree with you 100%, man. People are looking for some a better quality of life and better value for their dollars. There's no question about that. And if you get out, you'll find that. And maybe spending some time in different places. There's a lot of folks that like Thailand. You're having now also a huge exodus from Russia. A lot of Russians are scared and they don't trust their government, and they're in a position that they want to get out as soon as possible because they're concerned of what might be coming and the restrictions and the sanctions that are being put on them, and things can get pretty dire. You look at a country like Cuba, just toothpaste it's super expensive. Venezuela, toilet paper. It's these guys are making, I think it's like $1.20 a month salary. Okay, that's a minimum wage, and a great example, I think, for all of us to understand that what devaluing of a currency does to a country, to an economy. And that's a very recent event that just went down there. I mean, if you had $1 million, let's say 10 years ago in the Venezuelan bolivar, I think it'd be something like, $93. They had over 1 million% inflation. Just completely destroyed everything, man. It's scary. It's really scary. I mean, but they don't have a printing machine like the Fed does to be able to counterbalance that. But you can't print your way forever out of that problem. And I think that's what we're facing, guys. I think that we're call it what you want, but it's a game that has an end, and I think that's where crypto really comes into play. And we'd have to see how this all comes, but I don't want to buy into a lot of the fear personally. I do believe that through time things balance out, and there's tough times and there's good times, and generally very, very drastic changes kind of bring political and stability and anarchy, and that's just not good for anybody, even those in power. So I think we need to have a little bit of patience and be calm and invest wisely, guys. This is the answer, I believe, to our financial security. There's always going to be food. I think there's always going to be a place to be safe, but you do need to have your finances in order. You do need to understand that the investment that you do today could be your ticket to having comfort and stability in the future. Are there any other questions?
by the way.
Go ahead.
But excuse me for straying from the main topic, but I will say this, is that preserving capital and avoiding confiscation, or however you want to put it, is probably as important, if not more, than building the wealth itself. Because what's the point of building it if you can't keep it and preserve it, the buying power as well as control over it? That's just my take on it.
Absolutely, man. So, guys, before we end the recording for tonight, we're going to hang out here a little bit after. Is there anybody that might have a question, especially in relation to the protocol ARK, our launch of the public pre-sale on Friday? We don't have the price yet. We'll have that for you tomorrow. And we're seeing a lot of demand, a lot of anticipation for that. So I do want to open up one last time to see if anybody might have a question or a comment this evening.
I have a quick question, Atlas. CG here.
Go ahead, CG. Thanks for coming tonight.
My pleasure. Always a pleasure to be here. So we're looking at doing pooled wallets as well as part of our community. My question is what's the max amount of NFTs that can be transferred to a wallet? I believe I understood it was 4 pre-sales and one private, but I was just wondering if it's possible to have, for example, 10 NFTs in a single wallet address that could be deposited at launch.
Good question. And from what you said, you're right. It is 1 private and 4 public, and that is to buy. Now, to transfer, if you want to hold on till December 2nd and put them in a safe place, that actually makes perfect sense. And let me give you a confirmed, answer to that. I don't want to speak out of turn. Let me speak to our developers and just make sure, because logically it does make sense. You purchased it, there's a purchase limit, but holding them into a wallet and then, bring them to the system. Now, obviously, when you bring them back into the system to get your tokens, it's going to fall under those guidelines. But let me make sure of that, please, if you don't mind. Because because it's a 4,000. Look, it's a 4,000 ARK token limit per wallet, 4,000 tokens, and I can't tell you at this moment if that's going to even come close to reaching the 4,000. If you did get those 4 public and that one private, correct? So in theory, I think that the transfer makes complete sense. Even being able to cash them all in, as it would say, right? When you're going to take your NFT and claim your ARK token. But that is a technical question that we want to just make sure that you don't make a mistake or do something that's going to disrupt the flow of the system. Great question, man.
Yeah, correct. I just wanted to make sure. So yeah, just to confirm, it would be like more than the 4 and the 1. So the deposit would come from a single wallet, right? That would go into the protocol on December 2nd.
Correct. Brett, you there, man? You got your picture?
Hey, how's it going? Yeah, picture's done. Just heading to dinner. I thought I'd jump on for a few minutes.
Hey, we had a great question from CG, and they want to, on their team, they want to put their NFTs into a cold storage for safety reasons. And he was asking if there was a limit of moving them, and I had to think about it for a second, because we have a limit to purchase. However, wouldn't it make sense that they could just transfer all of those NFTs into a wallet and even bring it back to the system for claiming, as long as it's not over 4,000 tokens?
Yeah, that's a good question. I don't know what would happen. Mr. Green, that if it just wouldn't allow the transaction to happen.
Yeah, I told him that I needed to confirm, but logically it makes sense. It's a buy limit, and we have a 4,000 ARK token limit per wallet. But you might be able to fit quite a few of those NFTs in there. So I'm gonna get the answer for him. CG, if you could go ahead and DM me, I appreciate that, and just write the question down so I'm able to take care of that tomorrow with our coder. Thank you.
All right. Thanks, Atlas. Appreciate it.
Yes, sir. Thank you for being here, man. Appreciate the support. Is there anybody else that has a question before we finish tonight's recording? You're more than welcome to ask it and unmute your mic and speak with us. All right, folks. We're going to head and close the recording for tonight. This is the podcast number 9 here at ARK. I am Atlas, and it's been a pleasure being here with all of you. Thanks for the questions and participation. Before we leave, we just want to remind all of you tomorrow evening, same time, 6 p.m. EST, 11 p.m. UTC. We're going to have Dr. Kelly Snook here with us to go over her calculator, and that's going to give us a lot more clarity. And we'll also have tomorrow the price for the pre-sales. So we thank you all for your interest, your support, and we look forward to seeing you again. And those folks that weren't here with us this evening, listening to the recording, thank you for coming and getting more information, spending some time with us. And we will keep you all updated. Stay vigilant and look out for the pins. You'll find the information as we put it out there. Good night.